Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is fixed mindset versus growth mindset. Have you ever witnessed two people that are of equal talent and one is so much more successful than the other? The one that has tons of talent yet can't seem to take it anywhere has what we call a fixed mindset. People with a fixed mindset are limiting in their beliefs. They are afraid of challenges. They give up too easily. They are threatened by others' success, and they ignore feedback. The other person has a growth mindset. Their mindset leads them to innate desire to constantly grow and improve. They embrace challenges, they accept criticism, they persevere during a failure, and find inspiration in others' success. People who tend to struggle financially have a fixed mindset. They live paycheck to paycheck because they believe that's just the way it is. Many people with a fixed mindset also have the desire to succeed. They are just afraid of change. They avoid challenges because they are too afraid of failing, so they rather not try. Wealthy and successful people all have a growth mindset. Like everyone, they too experience obstacles and setbacks, yet they view them as learning experiences. They are more open to learning from other people's feedback because they are less likely to take it personally. They are not afraid of a challenge because they reach higher levels of achievement, thus creating a positive feedback loop that encourages them to keep learning and improving. So, if some of those things I said about a fixed mindset hit home, the good news is that you have the power to change. Commit right now to shifting your mindset. What you are not changing, you are choosing. Today, choose to be a badass. Now on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us total badass Devan Carroll. I have known Devan for a little over a year. He was a student of mine at HomeSchooled by Tarek El Musa, where he had zero real estate experience prior to joining. I just spent a few days with him in Puerto Rico at a real estate mastermind led by Tim Bratz of Legacy Family. To say I'm impressed with what he's achieved in such a short time is a total understatement. He is now Director of Acquisitions at Stag Mountain Properties with 12 flips and 26 wholesale deals in his first 11 months. I asked him to be on the show to share his story so you can hear how real estate will change your life. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome Devan Carroll.
Woohoo! Jen, thanks for having me. How you doing?
I am doing great. And like I said in your intro, I am so impressed with everything that you have done in such a short time. And when we were sitting in Puerto Rico, we may have been having a cocktail or two. And I just said, you know what, this is too important not to share. And so I asked you to come on today just to kind of give your story, because so many people out there are listening and thinking, what will my life be like a year from now? And everything that you did, and you have such a great story. So let's start at the beginning. Tell us how you got involved with real estate.
Yeah, of course. So, I'm 24, graduated in 2021. And, I did what every kid my age and, kids growing up are told to do. go to school, get good grades, get into a good college, get good grades, and then go ahead and get that job and then climb the corporate ladder. So, I did exactly what I was told, went to Clemson University, graduated with an entrepreneurship degree with a minor in accounting. And then from there, I went into corporate accounting and finance. I was working as a recruiter for around 8 months. And something about a 45K base salary and 0.02% on commissions wasn't doing it for me. I was working hard and just never really saw that return. So I always had that entrepreneurship mindset in me, but it was just a matter of, when I would be doing that and finding the right niche. So within that, started reading some books that a previous mentor from Clemson recommended. And the book that changed it all for me was Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Through that, I really realized that, I didn't want to climb the corporate ladder. I didn't want to trade my time for money anymore and contribute to someone else's dreams. So within that book, I learned that, 99% of millionaires was due to real estate. So I said, okay, I think real estate might be the option. So reached out to that same mentor who actually had a career in real estate development. And he's like, I was just asking him, how to get started. And he was said, best bet is to, start in residential, learn the ropes there. And then depending on how that goes, you can graduate to multifamily, you can graduate to commercial, triple net, et cetera. So basically just started doing some research, did a little bit of YouTube University. And then one day I was sitting on the couch and I got an ad for Homeschooled by Tarek Musa. So I looked into a little bit with really no intention. And then, got my intro call. It went great. I was like, wow, this is happening very quickly. Then 2 days later, had that final call, and they offered me a spot in the program. Without knowing the fee, I accepted it, and then realizing that it was a hefty fee to get in because you do have to have some skin in the game. So at 24, I didn't have much money, so I took a leap of faith. I spent 90% of the money I had in my bank account to change my life for the better. And my God, am I thankful that I did that. Number one, I met the amazing Jen Josie, who was an amazing coach who I owe so
I'll pay you
much
later.
to. This is a free testimonial as well.
Well, thank you very much.
But yeah, so dove right into Homeschooled. When I was, still recruiting 8 to 5. And then in my free time, get home around 5:30, go to the gym. And then from around 7 to 11, I was just hammering REI training videos, learning everything, really developing real estate investing foundation, how to comp properties, knowing, the right strategies, knowing how to wholesale, knowing how to fix and flip, and then the direct marketing channels, because I was obviously through Homeschooled, I was set up to, start my own business and do it all basically by myself with little to no experience. So I did that a little bit, sending out some direct mail campaigns for marketing, and there, direct mail is pretty expensive, and it does take a little bit to kind of see that marketing come back to fruition. So I was doing that. I developed a great foundation. I was comping some properties, partnered with a realtor, started looking at some flips, was making offers. But what I learned was that, what am I getting into? So basically, I thought that I found a deal. I made an offer. I thought my offer was going to get accepted. So made a post in the Facebook group. Hey, I'm a new investor looking to joint venture with an experienced investor to kind of hold my hand and walk me through my first deal, not worried about profit, because another thing that I learned is, in your first deal, the profit is the knowledge that you gain, not necessarily the financial profit. If you break even, that's a gain there just from all the knowledge you get from the experience. So long story short, through that, my current boss now, Nate, sent me a message. Said, hey, man, I'm really interested. Would love to JV with you and, help you out, et cetera. So anyway, the deal ended up falling through. But, I did have that connection with Nate and a few other investors that offered to help as well. So from there, that deal obviously fell through, was still recruiting, doing my own thing. And then I saw that this guy, Nate Hirschberg, was looking for an acquisitions manager. So I thought to myself, wow, what a great idea to, get out of recruiting. It's nothing that I'm not enjoying it. It's taking up my time. The pay isn't worth it. So let me go work for this guy and, learn from him, see what he has to offer and just go from there. And my God, does he change my life. So started working for him mid-April, and I was the acquisitions manager, focusing on residential fix and flip, and then a little bit of wholesale here and there, depending on, what the numbers were. So, was working for him, and then he actually separated from a previous partner, started his own company. Then I was the sole acquisitions manager. We were had a few cold callers, and then we were doing SMS marketing in all of North Carolina, no, all of South Carolina, Greenville, Spartanburg, Columbia, and then Charleston, obviously, which is where we are, as well as Savannah, Georgia, and Nashville, Tennessee. So just like anybody, was really thrown to the dogs with cold calling up on cold leads is how I started, just learning how to talk to sellers, learning, what's a qualified lead, what's a motivated lead, and, what actually is a deal. So learned a ton there, and then eventually started making offers, got like 2 to 3 deals under contract, ended up following through, and then finally got that deal that stuck. And that was the momentum I needed. And I utilized that momentum to just contract. So looking back now, I mean, since then we've done 12 flips in 4 different markets. And then, when interest rates went up, we kind of transitioned more to a wholesale model. So we've been doing a lot of wholesales, which I honestly love. I think it's great. It's taught me so much about the transaction coordination, what buyers are looking for, the different type of buyers, whether that be a hedge fund, a private investor, or, a high volume residential fix and flip company. So that's great. And another thing I love too is that I actually get to do the dispositions on those deals. So, I'm putting together basically the sales pitch of the property, pictures, ARV, all my numbers, who it would be a good deal for, best exit strategy, and getting to negotiate with some baller real estate investors as well as some hedge fund managers is pretty cool at 24. I kind of feel very powerful in that position, which is awesome. But since then, like I said, 26 wholesales, average fee right now is around 14K. So doing good there. And as of now, we are really focusing on growing our acquisitions team. I had one guy, unfortunately, he was doing great, but didn't work out. So have another interview tomorrow with another guy. So hopefully he will work out. And then that'll kind of free up some of my time and start focusing on multifamily assets.
Devan, I am blown away. I'm like, I have to keep catching my jaw because just what you have gained in knowledge in this 11 months with Nate is unbelievable. I want to go back to the beginning though, because you said you spent 90% of the money in your bank account for your education. And I have a very important question. Do you regret that decision?
Absolutely not. When I honestly purposely didn't tell my parents that I was doing it because they would have thought that I was crazy. And then when I did, my mom still thought that I was crazy. And then, once I started, got my first commission check after check, I was just like, yeah, this is it. And I also knew that was just a piece of the pie. So I knew how bright the future was and how, grateful it is to, take that risk. And, you can't grow without taking risk. I've always been told, get comfortable being uncomfortable if you want to grow.
Absolutely. And that goes back to that fixed and growth mindset that I did for the intro. And I actually picked that intro because of you, because of everything you've done. If anyone, you mentioned the word momentum, and tell me your business name when you first started with HomeSchooled.
Yeah, my business name was Deventum. So we combined Devan and momentum. At the time I was reading a book. It was basically talked about Big Mo's theory of momentum, how you get one, just leverage that momentum on and on and on. And that's what we've done.
So that initial investment that you made in your education, have you made that money back?
Yes.
How many times have you made that back?
I'd say 6 to 7 as of now.
Yes. Well, so very impressive. And we call that burning the boats. They talk about when back in the old days when they had boats with the fighters coming to take over a land. And when they land at their new destination, they burn the boats because there's no turning back. And you are the epitome of that saying of burn the boats. And I'm so very impressed with you. So as your first coach in HomeSchooled by Tarek El Moussa, I was very adamant about I went into mama bear mode with you. I remember this because you said, oh, I think I'm going to go work for this guy. And I'm like, don't give up the dream. And then I've actually gotten to know Nate, and he is just amazing. And I'm so very impressed with him. I'm actually interviewing him later today. So he's on next week's show. And he's been such an asset to you. And how would you tell someone to find someone like this? How can you, like, how did you meet him? Let's just start there so that the listeners can hear, maybe getting a mentor in their life and having it just excel them even faster in their business. So how did you meet him, first of all?
Yeah. So just being resourceful. Through homeschool, they always tell you to, leverage your local real estate investor Facebook group. And I was like, Facebook? I haven't been on Facebook since 8th grade. I use Instagram now. What are you talking about? So, updated my Facebook, joined the group. And then, when I thought that I had that first deal on my own, posted in there looking for, an experienced investor to JV with me. He inquired about it. Deal fell through. And then I think like 3 weeks later, he posted he was looking to hire an acquisitions manager. So reached out, tried to set up a call, scheduled a call. He blew me off. And then I stayed persistent, which is one of my later points in acquisitions. But, followed up again and again, told me he had COVID, learned 7 months later he didn't have COVID. So that he finally gave me a shot. He gave me a bit of his time. Basically, the reason he was ignoring me was because you needed 3 to 5 years of experience for the position where I technically had none. So I really just did my research, told him what my situation was and what I was looking to do. And he loved my mindset. He loved my work ethic. And I actually kind of creeped him out because I did so much research on him and his partner in the interview. And they were just like, holy crap, this kid's a stalker. But just being resourceful and just putting all that knowledge to action and representing yourself is very important to, I guess, gain an opportunity that, you may not be qualified for on paper.
So you are learning to scale a business very quickly. And when people start off, they are kind of like, should I do wholesaling? Should I do flipping? What would you recommend for new investors when it comes to wholesaling versus flipping?
Yeah. So, obviously flipping is what everybody wants to do. They watch HGTV. It looks so new. It's so awesome and easy on HGTV. But man, is it not. And, when you launch these marketing campaigns and as a new investor and, you get one deal and you decide you want to flip it, all your time and resources and money and everything is going into that one flip. Whereas your marketing channels are still running. So you have more and more deals coming, more and more leads coming in that you don't have time to attend to. So my advice is, in the beginning, when you're launching a marketing campaign, just to get the transaction coordination down, networking, talking to other buyers, talking to other wholesalers is really a big benefit because wholesaling allows you to know what buyers are looking for, know what's a good deal, what's not a good deal. Whereas, when I first started, I was only looking on the market. And what I've learned is there aren't the best. There's some flips on the market, but the best deals you're going to find on your own. Avoid a wholesale fee, or you're going to find from a really good wholesaler who, understands the numbers and understands what an investor needs to be at.
And when you say on your own, you mean going direct to seller. Those are the best deals. Exactly.
Yeah. Going direct to seller because you're avoiding that wholesale fee. And then, even as a new flipper, you're paying full price for a contractor, you're paying full price for a labor, for material, everything along those lines. So it's hard to, beat out a qualified investor who, has the contracting figured out, has all the labor and material discounts figured out.
So for newer investors, would you recommend wholesaling or flipping?
Wholesaling 100%, just understand the process, understand the transaction coordinating, what goes into it, and then, graduate on to, take on your first fix and flip.
And what makes a good wholesaler?
A good wholesaler is someone who understands the deal, someone who understands who the right buyer is for that property. Whereas one property may work for a hedge fund. If it works for a hedge fund, it's probably going to work for most other people. And then, my biggest assignment to this day was a retail buyer through a realtor. It was in a good area of town. It was definitely needed some work, but it was at a discount. The property down the street was similar conditions, sold on the market for, I think, like 370, and we sold it for 325. So, I mean, right there, they built equity in it just off purchasing it from a wholesaler.
Excellent. Very, very, very good points. I also want to get back to the acquisitions specialist. So that is your title, your director of acquisitions.
Correct.
And what does an acquisitions specialist do?
Yeah, so an acquisition specialist, I mean, there's kind of people, I mean, everyone's business kind of uses different terms: lead manager, acquisitions assistant, acquisition specialist. But basically, in this position, what you're doing is qualifying leads. So our cold callers pass over a lead. Quality of lead there could be, very hot, motivated, or, oh, I'm just curious to hear an offer. I want to know what my house is worth. Or an opportunistic buyer, which is someone who, oh, you're going to offer me 10% over market value? Yeah, I'll sell. Or it's like, what's your make me move price? Something along those lines. But they're basically qualifying leads. So a lead comes through, they're calling the seller, hey, this is Devan with Stag Mountain Properties. You spoke with my assistant Alex about 123 Main Street. Curious to hear, like, really my first question always is like, are you serious about selling this place? And then that kind of gives you a timeline. Do you have plans to move? Are you looking to move? Do you just want to make a change? Is this a rental property, et cetera, et cetera? From there, you just get all the info on the property that I would need to make an offer: condition of the home, age of roof, age of HVAC, any updates. Is it tenant occupied, owner occupied, or vacant? Then that allows me to kind of clarify the motivation there, timeline there, and what they're essentially looking for in an offer.
So are you making offers over the phone before stepping foot in the place?
Correct. So what we actually do is we're virtual, which is unique. So like I do a lot in Nashville and Chattanooga, Tennessee, which I've never even been to. Do some stuff in Savannah, Georgia, which, I mean, I've been there, but never for a deal. That was for drinking on the street with an open container policy. But honestly, yeah, I mean, I've been to 5 in-person appointments so far, and honestly, all in Charleston, and honestly, none of them worked out, which is so funny.
Wow. And I asked this because you said you had the cold callers then bring you the lead. So you have a whole system set up there to find these leads, where I'm guessing you have virtual assistants doing all the cold calling?
Exactly, yeah. Our cold callers are offshore in Nicaragua.
Nicaragua, wow. And then they get a warm lead, and then it comes to you, and then you try to wrap up the deal and either turn it into a wholesale deal, or you all keep it to fix and flip. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah. And it just depends what we get the deal at. If for us to close on a property, it needs to be 0.75 loan to value. I get a lot of deals where it's 0.8, 0.85, where, it's not a deal for us, but it's definitely a deal for a hedge fund or a more qualified flipper who has his contracting license, who can save, five to 10 grand here and there on certain materials or resources.
Okay, awesome. You have in your notes here, the 2 most important skills in real estate investing is branding and raising money. So let's kind of change focus here and tell us why it's important to have those skills for branding and raising money. Let's start with branding.
Yeah. So branding is, I mean, especially for, doing it virtually, is super important. I mean, regardless, branding is very important just for credibility purposes. I mean, so I'm just going to say how it is. These people get a random cold call about selling real estate. Selling real estate is a very big thing. Your average person does it one time in their life. Not many people do it more than that. So it's a big deal for these people. So for these people to trust you just over the phone, never meeting you in person, is huge. So what I do to kind of bridge that gap is, obviously, we have a website with a bunch of credibility on it, a bunch of testimonials as well from previous clients. And then I always support a proof of funds letter, proving that I am capable to perform on my offer. Another thing that we do is, obviously, we cover all the closing costs, which helps a lot of sellers out. And then I always am just super transparent, and, I'll leverage other stories, similar stories, whether it's like a tired landlord, an absentee owner, an inheritance, things along those lines. And then I'll even offer, hey, do you want to speak with this client about their experience with me, et cetera. And someone's only ever taken me up on that once or twice, but it did work out. Another thing I do is I always give my attorneys information. I say, you can reach out to my attorney anytime, ask them all about me, and they will tell you all good things. So just building that trust and having a brand that these people can, look you up and say, okay, this isn't a scam. This guy's very legit.
Wonderful. And I love the attorney aspect because a lot of people don't do that. And that is really just handing them the reins to go directly to the attorney to make sure everything is legit here. That's very, very smart. So the second important skill is raising money. And I think this is such a fear of all people getting started in real estate, is thinking that you have to have the money to do these deals, but it's really just about raising money. So tell me why raising money is so important.
Yeah. Leveraging OPM, other people's money. And I mean, so as most people know, if you don't know, there's a few ways, really two main ways to fund a fix and flip: hard money lending and then private money lending. The reason raising capital is so important is because if you raise capital via private money, you're going to get better terms on that money. You're not going to have to do individual draw requests. You're not going to be, held by a broker price opinion that is super biased. You're not going to be paying 15% with 2 points. So it really, if you can get, like when we do private money, we pitch 12%, whereas if we were to use hard money, it would be about 15% with 2 points, monthly interest fees, which is just so hard to do. So, if you're getting a deal if someone's lending to you at 12% versus 15% with a point or two, that could, depending on the purchase price and the level of renovation, you could you can increase your initial offer by sometimes $15,000 to $20,000, which is an absolute game changer. It opens up your buy box to so many different properties, and you're able to beat so much of your competition that way.
So huge. And in talking about the draw schedule as well, because between hard money lenders, you're paying a monthly interest fee, whereas with private money lenders, it's very typical to do a balloon payment at the end. So you are just focused on, and they give you all the repair money and it's in your bank account. You can pay your contractors immediately. You don't have to submit for a draw and have someone come out and check your property, make sure the work was done before they release that money to you. So absolutely, private money is key in this industry. And it's shocking how much access people have to private money that they don't even realize. You can get it through a HELOC. It can be from a savings account. It can be from a self-directed IRA. And people are becoming more and more savvy to it. And once you have a private money lender, when they get their money back, they're like, damn, this was awesome. I just lent you my money. You took my money, you dressed it up, took it out to party, and came home with friends. And so they want to keep doing it over and over again. And when you're in this industry long enough, you get to a point where private money lenders are like, hey, I have 140K coming back. This was literally a phone call yesterday. I have 140K coming back. What projects do you have going on? I want to invest my money. And there are times where I can't spend their money quick enough. So very important. Those are absolutely two very important skills to have in real estate investing. Again, Devan, I'm so impressed with you. And by the way, I thought it was very genius of me when I said you need to start calling yourself Mr. Carolina, and I'm going to stick to it. And I really think you need to go for it. So Devan Carroll, and then you have Mr. Carolina with 2 L's in there. Anyway, I'm just saying, reinforcing that in podcast history. Which, by the way, I am popping your podcast cherry today. So congratulations. You have been fantastic. You heard me at the beginning give a badassery bestowment. So do you have a little bit of advice that you can share with the listeners?
Yeah, of course.
Mr. Carolina.
Yeah. Main advice that I can have is to just don't be scared to take that risk, whether that risk is taking on, getting into something new, or, taking a leap of faith and spending money on self-development. Because another thing that I learned is that, where's this quote? It's, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together, which is basically my whole mantra with Nate. Yeah, I could go wholesale on my own and make more money, but I'm not going to, I wouldn't be in multifamily. I wouldn't have the synergy. I wouldn't have access to all the resources and the relationships that he's grown. So, I mean, no, I don't own the whole pie, but one piece of a watermelon is a lot bigger than a piece of a grape. So, just, the synergy as well in real estate is huge. Never turn yourself down to joint venturing with someone, because relationship capital is some of the most valuable things, which goes back to branding. You give up a little bit of profit here, that can come back 10 times in 2 to 3 years from now. You never know. But relationship capital is very important. Taking that risk and just putting yourself out there is super essential to continue to grow and just be the right person and keep kicking ass and just being a damn badass, right?
Absolutely. And you truly are a badass. And that leads us to the second half of this podcast. And I use the acronym BADASS, and the first letter is B for book. So Devan, what is a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
Yeah, I hate to be cliche here, and I know everybody says it, but for me, I mean, I really do owe a lot to this book and Robert Kiyosaki. I mean, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I relate so much to that story. My dad and my mom own a luxury swimming pool company. So they're contractors in New Jersey. They build beautiful swimming pools, but they haven't systemized that business. My dad's blue collar as can be. He probably hasn't touched a pen in 10 years. But I mean, just watching the way that they grew up, work so hard, and working for their business rather than their business working for them, was very life changing. And this book really put that into perspective. Whereas, you need to own the business can't own you. Whereas if they left that business for a week, shit would hit the fan.
Right.
So just, getting into an industry that, building passive income, delayed gratification, really setting yourself and your future family up for financial certainty and generational wealth is the biggest thing. There was one other thing in that book that really changed it for me. It was just surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals is the best way to grow. In a lot of those books, it says, if you want to grow to the person you want to be, you're going to have to change your current setting. You're going to have to stop hanging out with some of your friends, stop hanging out with certain people that, want to go out on the weekends and drink, want to go do this, want to go do that. Whereas you're just setting yourself back there. So that's a really hard thing to grasp, and it's hard to let some friends go. But, in the end, it's the best thing to do for yourself.
Well, I can remember when I was 24 years old, my friends were so important to me. And by you being so far beyond your years and realizing this now, the sky is the limit for you. I'm, again, so very impressed with you. All right. The first A in badass is advice. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Yeah, best piece of advice I received, which was from that same mentor from Clemson, which was find the person you want to become, learn from that person, and adapt their behavior, which is what I'm doing with Nate. He's got what I want, and he's invested in me so much, and he gives me a ton of freedom to grow, and that's allowed me to speed up my learning curve, and I'm on the right track. So if it's in insurance, if it's in tech sales, if it's in med practice, find the person that you want to be, interact with them, learn their behavior, learn their situation, and just be an open book and, add value, and then they'll be happy to add value back to you.
Very well said. All right. The D in badass is for drive. What drives you to be successful?
I just financial freedom and, having the power to do what I want, when I want, because I want to, and, never being liable to not having to make decisions off, what's in the bank account. Having a $100 million yacht would be cool, but I mean, in reality, just having the freedom to do what you want when you want is the most important thing. And what I've learned is doing what you love. It sounds so cliche that, you find the right job, you find your true passion, you never work a day in your life. Whereas I honestly feel like I found that. Like, I'll look up and it'll be 8 p.m. and my girlfriend's like, turn off the computer, stop working. I'm like, it's not work. I enjoy this. It's awesome. So I'm just finding your why and really meeting your passion and going all in there.
I love it. All right. The second A in badass is for aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
Yeah. So me and Nate at Stag Mountain Properties, two of our main goals this year is to acquire at least 4 short-term rentals, Airbnbs in desirable locations. Yeah. Is it because we want to be able to go there and stay for free? Yes. But it's also a great asset class to have. And you can make a lot of money in that. So that's one of them. Then the other one is to acquire 2 multifamily assets, at least 10 units or above.
And that is so easy to do and within your grasp, and I don't doubt it's not going to happen very soon. All right, the first S in badass is systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
Yeah, of course. So in acquisitions, I mean, it's a numbers game. Our current basically metrics are, one contract comes from 55 conversations. So that's a numbers game, right? So what that transitions to is follow up, and persistence. The way we do that is through our SMS campaign, which is launch control. We have drip campaigns, whereas, if a seller says, I'm not looking to sell yet, my tenant's lease is up in 4 months, reach out in 3 months and maybe we can, talk about an offer. So that as well. And then people that say, I'm not interested in selling at this time, maybe in a few weeks or a few months to a year, put them on a drip. They'll get a text message from me. Hey, it's Devan with Stag Mountain Properties. We spoke on December 10th, just following back up, seeing where you stand on 123 Main Street, seeing if I could be a resource for you. And I've gotten so many deals from that. It's automated. I don't have to do anything. I get the notification if they respond. And it's awesome. And then we do the same thing on our CRM, which is ours simply, which are our cold call leads that we do that drip campaign with as well.
All right. Can you explain to the listeners what a drip campaign is?
Yeah. So a drip campaign is basically automatic follow-up. Basically, we have templates in place, whereas there's all different based off the, situation of the lead, the timeline they give us. We can say, okay, reach out and send this message in 30 days. If no response, send this message in 45 days. If no response, send this message 4 days in a row, or send this message, blah, 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 blah. So it automates it. You basically put the templates together. Then depending on the situation, you can clarify how often they get reached out to.
Is this email or text?
This is SMS, yeah.
Okay, got it.
You can do the same with email, though.
All right. Very, very impressive. All right. The final S in badass is success. And what does success mean to Mr. Carolina?
Yeah, just overall happiness and quality of life. Kind of goes back to my drive, which is just being able to do what I want when I want, and being in the position where finances don't control my actions, and really just giving back to my family, the people I care about, and being able to go to every single one of my kids' sport games, being able to travel when I want, being able to just live a life full of great experiences that, you can continue to give back to the community and grow yourself within that.
Well, it has been such a pleasure to have you on the show today, Devan. Thank you so much for being here. Can you tell the listeners if they have any questions, how can they find you?
Yeah, of course. You can find me on Instagram, Dev_Carroll. That is 2 R's and 2 L's. And the number 16, you'll see me and my beautiful girlfriend in the profile picture. Shoot me a DM or, just like a pic, comment on a pic. Other than that, I'm pretty open. You can shoot me a text, 908-910-9853. Don't mind that at all. And then our company website is stagmountainproperties.com. So you could check us out there as well.
Well, I am so impressed. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Devan. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Jen, for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure to pop your podcast cherry today. So you were fantastic. And that is all. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.